Hey y'all, it's your girl Toya T, and it looks like we're live, but we shouldn't be. So we're gonna see if our guests are going to come in here. We'll just wait a few minutes because I think there's a few people that are not here yet. Cody, we're live. We're live, and nobody's on the screen except me. So this is gonna be our most bootleg show yet because never had this happen before where I'm in here by myself. So I'm just gonna talk to y'all about the topic for this show was Black Bobcat legacy stories. And it's supposed to be my cousin who is currently she'll be a graduating senior this year at Ohio University. And my Uncle Squeaky, who went to OU back in his heyday a long, long time ago, that really inspired me to consider OU because I remember when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And I went on a college tour. I'm just gonna tell you this story. Oh, we wait for them to join in. I don't know what's happening in the backstage. Hello,
Hi.
how are you? And there is my Uncle Squeaky as well. So this is a little bit unorthodox because normally we're all in there when I say, "Hey y'all, it's your girl Toya T." But we're a little bootleg today, but it's okay. Alexis just got her hair done, so she was rushing across the highway to get here. And Uncle Squeaky, we done got him in. Look, there you go. He trying to do all the rotate, but I told him how to do it. My instructions are not that great. Leave it like that, Uncle Squeaky. It's fine.
All right.
So I was just telling the folks this story about how I decided to go to OU, right? And I
Right.
figured it was fitting for storytelling because when you're 18 years old, you make decisions and they may not make that much sense, maybe down the line, but at 18, they made total sense. So one of the schools that I was considering was Miami University, and I went up to Miami to visit, and they had really bad hamburgers. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I cannot go to a school with bad hamburgers for 4 years." When I went to OU, the food was amazing. And I love the people. And I decided that I didn't need to go to an HBCU because I would be too far on the other side. So here I am, OU graduate, class of '02. Shout out to all my OU friends that came in and went out with me. I want to have you guys just do a brief introduction so that we can get right into the show and tell folks a little bit about your story, okay? So we'll start with you, Alexis. If you want to just do a brief intro, just tell us your name and a little bit about, you're at OU, your major, that kind of thing.
So hi everyone, my name is Alexis. I'm currently going into my senior year at OU as a retail and fashion merchandising student, with a marketing minor and a social media certificate. And I would say I'm also involved in a few things on campus, like a student org called Unified Sisters. I'm the president of that organization,
Okay.
as well as I'm in a digital marketing group there.
And what's Unified Sisters? I'm curious.
So it's like a group basically like for Black women just to like have fellowship, just spend time with each other, talk about like some of the struggles we might face at the university, and just kind of like build a sisterhood.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was in Faces when I was there, the modeling club. I don't know if Faces is still there. Shout
Yeah.
out to Faces. Are they still there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's exciting. And I was the president of STARS, which is Students Teaching About Racism in Society. I don't
Mm.
know if they're still there. They may be gone by now. Dr. Childs was our advisor. Um,
Mhm.
and I believe is she still there or is she passed on recently?
I don't think so. I've never heard of her before at
Okay,
the.
I think Dr. Childs passed just recently.
Mhm.
Okay, well, Uncle Squeaky, Robert Bronson, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, they call me Squeaky, but my name is Robert Bronston.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm happy to kind of be on this show. It's opening up a lot of avenues that went through in life. And Ohio University was one of my avenues that I went through. I
And
was
what
only
year
there
were
for,
you at OU? Do you
it's
remember?
like 62, I believe it was around 62, I believe. Yeah,
Okay,
62. Yeah, 62.
okay. And
Yeah,
so, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, and when I enrolled at Ohio University, I was a sophomore,
Okay.
and I didn't. My preparation for college was very small, limited, I should say. And I was only up there for, like I say, for a short period of time. But I got the full impact of a college, campus life and everything like this. I mean, I got the full understanding about college. And OU was, I selected that based upon some of my friends who went there. It was a choice between Central State and Ohio University. But all the friends that I knew, they went to OU. But the thing about me going to OU, I knew I had to stay in college
Hmm.
because I had gotten drafted by the military.
Oh,
But when I went to school, I had a deferment. You see, so
so if you got drafted back then, if you went to college, then you wouldn't have to go off to the war or go into the military.
yeah, I was geared. I was shooting for going to college and everything. And the thing about me going to even getting in college was kind of strange in a way because I got a scholarship for $400 when I was a freshman. When I was,
$400. What is
I'm
that
listening.
gonna cover?
That's the amazing part about my life. In that I got that scholarship, that gave me incentive to take to use the scholarship for some purpose. Now I was fresh out of high school, and I got this $400 scholarship from my aunt, from a ladies group. And so I said, "What am I going to do with it?" I went downtown to Cincinnati at a school called Ohio Mechanic Institute,
Okay.
and it paid my tuition for that year to get a certificate in drafting.
So the four
So
hundred
that's
dollars covered the entire year.
for my freshman year, for my scholarship to be a certified draftsman.
Wow.
I didn't realize at the time that it was equivalent to a year in college.
Right.
So yeah, so after I completed that, my friends were going to, on to college. So I said, I'm gonna go to college also. So I chose Ohio University, and I stayed there for about a semester and probably half a semester. And when I got up there, I realized the impact of a college education. I wasn't really motivated as much as my friends were. And the thing about me is that, I was always working. And to pay my tuition at Ohio University, I think it was only like $400 per
Hold
semester.
on. The tuition was $400 per semester at OU.
And I would work in summertime and earn $400 for my college school, for my,
Pay for
for that
that year.
semester. So I would work, get the $400 and do a semester of college.
Lordy Jesus. Boy, have things changed.
And,
When I was at
that's
OU, I think it was about 16,000. Alexis,
right.
how much is it now at OU? How much are you paying per year? Do you know?
I think it's like almost 5,000 a semester now.
So it's probably about 20, it's probably upwards of about 20,000 a year is what I'm thinking
Yeah.
Yeah.
at OU. Now, Alexis, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you decide to go to OU?
So I was pretty like undecided on where I wanted to go to school, But OU was always like in the back of my mind because I visited my sophomore year of high school and I really liked the vibe of the campus. It was just very pretty. Everyone was very nice there. And I just loved the campus. But I wasn't like sold on it because I was sold on going out of state for school.
Right.
But like when I got to be a senior in high school and things got a little bit more serious, I decided to visit OU again. And that completely sold me on going there. I was like, yes, this is where I need to be. So that's kind of how I made my decision. And I went in as a psychology major. But I quickly realized that that was not really for me. So like my advisors kind of helped me come up with a plan based on like the things I like to make a career like out of the things I liked. And that's how I landed in my major now.
Right, right. Well, you know what's funny is my freshman year, I took a psychology class just for fun, right?
Mhm.
And I got a D or something on the first little assignment, and I was like, get me up out of here.
Yeah.
I can't have this running my major down. Same thing for a real estate class. I took a real estate 101, and I took a psychology 101. And both of those classes, I did horrible on the first assignment, and I decided, oh, no, we're not doing that
Yeah.
because I was a journalism ad major. So many of those things I was interested in, but I didn't really need them. So it was like, we're not doing anything we don't need and then getting F's and D's. so, uh, so Uncle Squeaky, I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your transitioning. So you said that you went and got this drafting certificate and then went to OU. And then after that, you ended up doing what? Because you ended up transitioning out of OU to go and I guess work.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I stayed employed, and I was probably raising enough money to go to college at the time. And so, but like I said, I realized that at that particular time, college was not for me. I needed more hands-on experience.
Right.
I got a job at the Cincinnati and Suburban Bell in the engineering department as a records clerk, keeping the drawings and the things that went on with the equipment and the installments of the
Okay.
telephone company. So I was in the engineering department at the Cincinnati and Suburban Bell and had a decent job. I had my own car, my own desk, phone, and
Well,
everything.
they gave you a
So
car?
yeah, Cincinnati and Suburban Bell, I had it, I was set up pretty good.
Yeah, you were. I need them to give me a car now.
Yeah.
Nobody
So
gives out cars anymore.
yeah, so throughout my career, I just stayed in that kind of field of a job hunting and things like that. And
And then how'd
eventually,
you get to Honeywell?
huh?
How'd you get to Honeywell?
Okay, you want the whole story?
Yeah,
Okay,
give
now,
us the quick and dirty one.
all right, the quick one is that I worked at the Cincinnati Suburban Bell, and then I transferred to a Western Electric, and it paid well. But about that time, I got married, moved to Kansas City, and started working in engineering departments in Kansas City. And I worked in several of those engineering departments. But one thing about being a draftsman, you have to have some kind of almost a firsthand experience, some field work in order to understand things. So I said, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna go back to school and get me a trade and stay in that trade until I get the kind of job that I want.
And what
And I
did you get the trade? What was the trade?
I went and I went to the Electronics Institute, and I did about 3 semesters. No, three. It was a 4 quarter. I did 3 quarters. Was getting ready to go in my 4th quarter, and I put applications in for jobs, and these jobs were not. I mean, there was like 4,000 and 5,000 people trying to get these little jobs. They chose me on both of them. So I took L.I. Honeywell, which was at the time they called it Bendix, and they were a manufacturer of government parts and things like this. So that's when I hired in at Honeywell. And while I was at Honeywell, they had offered me a job, apprenticeship job, to be a journeyman tool and die maker, and that job took 8,000 hours to complete my training while I was working on the job, getting my regular pay and everything like that. So
So
that's
they
how,
put you through training to become the journeyman.
yeah, I became a journeyman trade tool and die.
Okay.
And I mean, and those, I mean, I mean, that was like a gold mine. I mean, the salaries, it was probably equivalent to an engineer's introductory,
So tell,
yeah. So,
tell the viewers what tool and die is, because some people may not be as familiar.
but,
I know my ex-husband was a machinist, so I'm familiar.
right.
But
Yeah, tool and, yeah, it's called a machining job. Tool and die. I worked in the research and development department of tool and die with engineers. And I don't know if you know what dies are, tools and dies are. Tools and dies are the equipment, or the machines, or the prototype that stamps out or to make the assembly line parts for manufacturing. So in your manufacturing industry, when you like you say General Motors or Ford or any place like that where they make cars or some kind of thing like that, they need some kind of form or die to stamp out their particular metal parts. So I was in the business of doing the prototype for their dies. In other words, for the development of it. Engineers would design a process or design some parts that need to go into a manufacturing production, and I would have to make the parts that
so
set
then
it
you
up.
were testing out what the engineers were making.
Yeah. In other words, a die is more or less a mold that you can
Right.
stamp out a part with. So I made parts, cut metal, and did a lot of uh, that kind of work, I guess you
Got
say.
you, got you. And that leads itself into engineering. So,
Right.
I always say that everybody goes about their career a little bit differently in terms
Right.
of how it all unfolds, right? I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I started out wanting to go to school for advertising. And at every other school in the nation that I went to visit, advertising was under business. But when I got to Ohio University, advertising was under journalism. And I'm grateful for that because I never would have seen myself as a journalist at that time, but I'm definitely a journalist. And so I ended up going to one of the top 10 journalism schools by accident, is what I say to people, because I really was going to school. And in my mind at 18, I was going to be in the business program and getting an advertising degree. So it all comes around in different ways.
Yeah.
Alexis, I want to ask you, what was your most memorable moment at OU? Are there moments that you look back and you go, man, that was a time?
I would probably say last fall semester was Black Alumni Reunion, and that was a really memorable experience, just being able to see so many of my people at the university, which we don't see that often there. So just having everyone together, having fun, that was just a very memorable experience. It was so much fun.
Yes, it is nice, right? When you're like the 4%, and all of a sudden it's like there's so many people that look like you that you get to have a good time with and enjoy.
With work, it was so fun.
Yes, yes. Uncle Squeaky, do you have any memorable OU experiences?
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole atmosphere was an experience for me. Like the football games and all that stuff, and uh, but I guess I like the fraternities. They kind of had an impression up on me.
Right, right.
Yeah. See
Who
how
was
they
big when you were here? Was it the Qs or the Alphas or?
Yeah, they had Q's and and Alpha. I think the Q's and the Alpha was the two main ones, for
Yeah,
black. But they had a bunch of fraternities up there.
yeah.
And one thing I learned gymnastics. I didn't realize I could do all those acrobatics.
You did gymnastics at OU?
I mastered what they call the parallel bar, where you can swing on that thing and flip around and kind of stuff. And so
I think
that was,
Alexis can relate. She's a dancer.
and the campus alone, amazed me. You know how I think I stayed down in the bottom somewhere. But I know one time I stayed down in the bottoms, and there must have been a river going through there or something. It flooded out one day. And so I had to room up with another guy up on top of the camp. But I had a lot of memories of things I did up there. I mean, it was open.
We did a lot of crazy stuff at OU. I remember one time it rained really bad and we were like playing hide and seek in the rain. We would go sledding with the trays from the cafeteria, from Shively down the hill. The stuff we would do. There were always these rumors about there was like an insane asylum that was like haunted or whatever. And so we decided one day that we were going to go and research and like see if there were really ghosts around there. And so we like trudged down and we got like really close and everybody got scared. And we ran back towards campus. So there was a lot of those moments. I was a RA for a majority of my time at OU. And I remember so vividly my director, his kids lived in the building. It was one of the buildings where there was a dining hall. And one of his daughters came to him one day and was like, "Dad, I saw a naked mouse last night." And what she was saying is that she saw a mouse. But the reason she thought that the mouse was naked was because on TV they were clothes. And so it's just like funny memories like that OU is just known for.
I remember it was a guy from Lincoln Heights. He was a model in an art class, and he was well built. So
Okay.
those nude pictures that you see of those men, they used him for the exhibit. I mean, for the
for the modeling.
Yeah, for the body. And there was a cute little boy up there. I mean, he was short. He used to be able to run 26 miles. We couldn't really. He used to run in those marathons. He ran.
Was he on the track team?
No, he would go up in New Jersey, up New York, I believe it was, somewhere where they did that 26-mile run, and he would do that, when they had that. But he practiced, on campus, getting his.
So he was a marathon runner.
Yeah, a marathon runner. That's what he was.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what would you guys say to somebody that's considering OU? They might be on the fence. They're like, I don't know if I want to go there. What would you guys say to either influence their decision or say maybe check out the HBCUs or whatever the case might be?
I would say honestly just explore. I think exploring the campus a little bit, seeing all of the different parts, because I mean, not even just the campus, but just Athens in general, like Court Street, the front of campus, the back of campus, that really just like gives you a better feel of like what it's like there. And that's really kind of what swayed me. But also I would tell them like if they did decide to come to OU to get involved, because if you're not involved, you're not going to have nearly as much fun.
Right. And don't go with somebody that is a friend of yours and then get caught up in just being with that friend. Like get out, meet some people, because you just never know who you're going to meet and what that might lead to. Because I really think that the college experience is more about the people that you meet than it is even about some of the courses that you take. Like I still remember my economics professor because he used to play Beatles music every morning when we go into class. And I could still hear "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in my head because he played the Beatles all day every time we would come to class. So, it's just those little small memories that I think make the experience. What about you, Uncle Squeaky? What would you say to somebody that's on the fence about considering OU?
Well, OU is a beautiful campus. I mean, it's typical. It fits the full environment of a college campus life. But the thing is, they do have what I realized. They had counselors up there,
Mhm.
and had I went to that counselor, because the counselor would always, I think when I went to the cafeteria to eat, he was always telling me, Bob, you need to come in there and talk to me. And I just wasn't that kind of person going and just talk to somebody like that. I was going to do it on my own. But that counselor, he kept hounding me and telling me I should come on there and do that.
Hey, come
And I,
on in here, Bob. Talk to me.
yeah, and I remember that to this day. I wish I had went in there to get that
You never
motivation.
went.
And
You never went.
I, I never did go. I did the same thing when I was at the Cincinnati Suburban Bell. The main man that ran our department, that engineering department, we would get on the elevator together and go up to our, our level. And he would say, Bronson, you got to come on in my office. And I couldn't see myself going in there to the main boss talking to him. But he said, you're a little green behind the ears. We need to help you. And I look back on it now, that would have been, tremendous.
So go
And that
get
was,
the help. He
I,
didn't get the help, but y'all go get the help out there. If somebody's
right.
offering to come
That's
into their
what I'm
office,
saying. Like you say, when you go in there, you think, it's a highly educating school. And, you have to be up to snuff for that kind of
they
activity.
can be intimidated. Yeah.
I didn't know how to take notes or anything like that. I didn't know how to write. I couldn't type and things like that. And that held me back because I know I had the right theme for everything I did. And I went to one class, it was a fine arts class. And that fine arts class met in a big auditorium. They didn't do no assignments. He just gave one test at the end of the year. All you had to do was write a theme and turn it in. You got your grade. I didn't have it. The theme that I turned in was too short and wasn't detailed enough to, fulfill the
Too
obligation.
bad you don't have AI. You could.
Yeah, I could write it out nowadays. But I think they use movies up there at OU, free movies, I think, on certain days. I think about once a month they have a free movie or something. Everybody will assemble there and all this thing.
Right.
And then the campus center was on Friday nights. It was like a party time up there. We turn up that music on and we be dancing all all over the place.
Right. They know how to party at OU, that's for sure. I don't know if they still got it. Alexis, they still got the party in them.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think it was anything like your guys' time.
It's done tamed down for a little bit at this point. Okay, so we have 1 minute. Do you guys have any parting words, anything, any contact information? If somebody wants to ask you questions about OU or about your experience?
Yeah, if anyone as a current student, I'm going into my 4th year. So if anyone's on the fence or anything and wants to reach out, you can DM me on Instagram and we can talk from there. My Instagram is alexis.sky19.
All right. And what about you, Uncle Squeaky? Any final words, resources, anything like that?
Yeah, I just think, if you got the opportunity to go to college and, learn just Ohio University is a good place. And just the idea of making that big, a commitment to, do something great. You can probably find it, in your college career. So,
Absolutely. If you want to be great, go to Ohio University. Go
right.
back. We appreciate you guys joining the conversation today. With that, we're going to go ahead and thank our sponsors. And you guys have a good evening.
Yeah,